Good morning. It's Tuesday, November 5th, and I'm so happy to be back here with you all. This is Training Wheels. It's a regular Tuesday lesson in A Course in Miracles review according to yours truly's interpretation and writing of it. This class, or this not class, but this gathering is coming together is made possible through Cindy Krupp's Open Door. And I just want to express my gratitude for her efforts and her willingness to bring us all together in a community of like-minded people. And I encourage anyone who's listening to this now or later on YouTube to feel free to join us, get the schedule, go to the website and Open Door, and become part of our community. So what I'm going to do today is just ask you to just sit comfortably. You can close your eyes if you want or not if you want. I'm going to read the lesson, and I'll probably shut off my video so that we can just go into this together. I'll read the lesson, and then what I'm going to do is just read a couple of quotes from A Course in Miracles for us to contemplate and maybe discuss. So I'm going to turn my video off and we'll begin. So this is lesson 8. My mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. I see only the past, and my mind is preoccupied with it. This is true if you think about it at all. Even my expectations of the future are created out of past experiences. You may recall an old cereal commercial that showed people with a bathroom scale chained to their ankle. It dragged behind them as they walked down the street, waited for the bus, and met each other in the grocery aisle. Finally, someone knocks on a woman's door and offers to exchange the scale for a box of cereal. She gladly hands over the scale. The scale is the past, and we are all dragging it around all the time. Like the scale that prevents us from moving freely, our preoccupation with the past prevents us from being in the present moment. The problem is the present moment is the only moment we have that is real. The past is gone. The future has not arrived. When we live with past thoughts, we literally live in and reinforce the illusion of time. A Course in Miracles tells us the one holy, true thought one can hold about the past is that it is not there. The one holy, true thought one can hold about the past is that it is not there. This exercise for today puts us well on the path of mind training. When we carry the past into the present moment, we are not truly seeing the potential, the pure potential arising in the now, in this present moment, is hidden and veiled by memory. The potential is hidden by memory. And the memory itself is an illusion because it literally isn't there. Today, we practice letting go of illusion. 4 or 5 times today, or even more. Sit quietly and close your eyes. Just be present in the moment. You may wish to start with some cleansing breaths, or you may wish to just center yourself now. Feel your body soften. Allow each breath to deepen your relaxation, and gently notice the content of every thought that arises. You might say to yourself, I'm thinking about a person, a place, an event. Or I'm remembering an emotion. Or I'm anticipating a future occurrence. Just spend a minute or two. You don't have to do anything with the thought. You don't have to make it go away. You don't have to change it. You don't have to do a thing. Just notice it. At the end of your sitting, say in your mind, with full forgiveness, full awareness, and full acceptance, my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. If you find yourself annoyed or irritated or burdened by these practice periods, just notice and allow the feeling. Be tender with yourself. Resistance to this work is natural. Feeling guilty about it will only stop you and withhold your progress. Just notice the resistance and the guilt and sit anyway. The decision to sit is an act of forgiveness. These practice sessions, indeed, any time you stop and rest in awareness, is a gift to yourself. I'm just going to read a couple of quotes from A Course in Miracles about the past. Actually, I'm going to start with one from Rupert Spira. And I'm going to read it a couple of times. Rupert says, "The knowing with which the past is remembered and the future imagined cannot itself be remembered or imagined. The knowing with which the past is remembered and the future imagined cannot itself be remembered or imagined." In other words, we cannot remember or imagine knowing. And A Course in Miracles tells us forgiveness, atonement, or at oneness, or holiness undoes your past errors, thus making it unnecessary for you to keep retracing your steps without advancing to your return. Forgiveness, noticing, awareness in the now moment undoes past errors, making it unnecessary for you to keep retracing your steps without advancing to your return. And this one, only the latter involves an awareness of time, since to remember is to recall the past in the present. To remember is to recall the past in the present moment. This is completely non-dual. Why is that? Because what remembers, consciousness remembers. There is no person. There is no Sandra. There is no David. There is no Alka. There is consciousness remembering or bringing into the now moment something it holds within itself. And let's end with this, and then we can go back to our screens. All your past, except its beauty, is gone, and nothing is left but a blessing. All your past, except its beauty, is gone, and nothing is left but a blessing. So come on back and let's dig into this. I have more quotes for discussion. So does anyone have any thoughts about noticing how often the past arises in your present moment, and then we live from it? It's like the past is a platform that we move off of. And how absolutely amazing it is that this world convinces us that remembering the past is so important to survival, to very survival. The quote, "We learn from the past so we don't repeat it." How many times do we tell that to our kids? Learn from the past. You burn your finger on the burner on the stove, so you'll remember not to do it again. We teach our children, you have to remember your multiplication tables in order to do basic math. You have to remember. There's never any question about who is remembering. Right? Who's doing the remembering? It's consciousness. The body is an amazing veil over the present moment. Because if you're in pain, the body will say, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Because if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be in pain now. I have to remember not to do that in the future, so I will avoid pain in the future. When we are in the present moment and we are remembering the past from the present moment, that is your consciousness being. And that's the only way to remember the past, is with the knowing that it is consciousness and awareness and presence now that is arising within itself and bringing it to itself something that apparently was in the past, but isn't. It's right now. It's just now. Cindy, come to the head of the table.
It's fun because my senses were now, sitting at a round table. So it's hard to, how do you come to the head of the round table?
You sit in the center.
Well, that's where you are on my screen. Um, I'm just inspired to um, words are weird. I'm inspired to just bring the current story into this space. I've noticed how often what I've been calling the self-referencing eye filtering system likes to separate what I'm doing in these meetings and in my contemplations from what's happening when I step out, and guided more and more to merge the two, right? So um, I have no answers. I'm just watching the body's response. Conversation with my sister this morning, predominantly about my mother, and I'm watching um, and my mother's focus on me. Did I get these blood tests done? Do I have a doctor? Does Emma have a doc? And all these interesting awarenesses. And I have at some point today I'm going to be calling my mother. So I'm just acknowledging that right now there is something happening here that is disturbing, that is very connected to all of my beliefs about who this woman is and how she affects me, and what I have to do literally in my writing to protect myself in a and to defend my right to be who I want to be. And I just really wanted to say that out loud because it literally is all based. Even the conversation I had with my sister this morning happened in the past. Um, Everything that this system is telling me that I have to defend myself against is based on a memory of the past. Um, and then it gets really disturbed as it's attempting to figure out how to be in a future conversation. And what I heard you say was this is the moment in the present moment that I could offer all of this up for the atonement.
And how many times have we all done that? We have made that choice to offer it up to the at-one-ment, and the situation unfolded in a way that we never could have imagined. Freedom from the past, as often as we can do that, is complete freedom. That is the only freedom that we have, freedom from the past and freedom from the future. That is true freedom in the present moment.
That's all I really have, is this willingness and desire to bring the current, seemingly past, future circumstance in the Cindy story to the space that's been created in this class. And so I thank you.
I thank you. David, what have you got for us?
The judgments that we attach to the past make it last and last. I mean, I was just thinking, and then when I have that judgment, a negative judgment about something myself, I'm dumb, I'm stupid, I was a coward, whatever it is, and then I reel in all those previous past moments and the catalyst or the connector is my judgment. The judgment I have now, I'll go back to the judgment I had then, and then I see, oh well, that's because I did this thing I thought was stupid back in 10 years ago or whatever it is. So it's almost like I keep suffering, the thing I suffered from then because I never let it go, because of this judgment that keeps it all connected. So
are you letting it go more and more?
Yes, but I'm seeing it and seeing seeing the truth of it, and that, to me, that's what you have to see that, and not, and like you said, talk about the veil. I have to expose it. Look what I did. Why did I do that? I don't want to do that. I don't have to do that anymore because I can decide not to, and just keep working on it.
It is the ego's attempt when we do that to get control, to reinforce itself. It's always the ego's attempt to reinforce itself. And the
Mhm.
ego is not a thing, right? We know that. It's just an energetic pattern. That's all it is.
Okay.
So here's something for you, David. This is from chapter 8. It says, your past learning must have taught you the wrong things because it has not made you happy.
True that.
True that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rana.
Good
What you
morning,
got?
everyone. This sentence from the book is really hitting me this morning. When we carry the past into the present moment, we are not truly seeing. And so what a great reminder. There's a friendship relationship I've been taking a look at again. I've shared with you guys about this before. It's not you, Livy. And and it's interesting. The mind wants to evaluate, and it has certain motives that it's looking to satiate. And with that sentence I just read in mind, the truth that I am seeing in this moment right now about this is that there has been a reach out from here to there, and it has not been welcomed. It has been just, hey, right? And what this is allowing me to do, because in that last paragraph, you said, if you find yourself annoyed, irritated, or burdened, and for the last 48 hours, I've been feeling very irritated about this, and this person keeps rising up. And of course, the ego wants to say, you've already done so much work on this, but this is what's happening in the present. So what it's helping me see, truly see today, is that the mind wants to live in the past, and it has expectations about the future. And that's just a story. And so we practice letting go of illusion. I'm trying to walk a fine line here between, speaking here and then action in the world. And there's been many pauses where the guidance was to do nothing. However, today there was guidance that to make a small overture, and then to evaluate the response. And it wasn't that I didn't expect kind of a flat response. It's what I got. But I'm just watching. There's a part of the mind that wants to place so much meaning on this and make it really big. But then there's like 75% of here just going, this is just part of the lessons in truth. I also feel that call to say, I'm not sure if this is making sense, but
Oh my goodness, it is making absolute sense. And what comes to me is to forgive yourself for, first of all, forgive yourself for making it more than it is. Start right there.
right.
Forgive yourself. It's what's arising in the moment, and her response will be whatever it will be, and forgive that too, right? I just am finding more and more and more that The knee-jerk response of forgiveness is always perfect. It's always exactly what is required, no matter what is arising in the moment. You know,
That's the pointing I need. Because really, when it comes all down to it, here's that illusion that there's time and there's a me and a her and a story and blah, 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 blah. So thank you.
thank you. Thank you. It's just what's arising, right? It's what's
Right.
arising now. It's what awareness is bringing into itself, awareness. It's bringing emotions, it's bringing feelings, thoughts, movement. Watch it. Be happy with yourself that you are watching it right
It
now.
doesn't have the charge
Yeah.
that it has had. So in speaking with you about this, that's what I'm feeling. It's kind of that ceiling fan thing again, right? It's like still inching just a little bit, but it's not doing this anymore. So thank you for the opportunity to share in a safe space in a general way and to work through these things together. You teach me so much. There are no big deals. There really aren't, but at the same time, it feels like it's a big deal. There's a real letting go. And the key is forgiveness of self and other. So thank you, Amy, so much.
Thank you. Sandra, what have you got for us?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't think I have anything for you except gratitude. Just pure, sweet gratitude for being here with all of you and loving you. And I guess there is something that kind of popped in while people were talking. I loved what you said. This wasn't one of your quotes, it was your own quote, Amy. You said, only remember with the knowing, or something like that. So in looking back, remembering, consciousness is remembering, but remember with the knowing. What I thought of was yesterday's discussion of cause and effect. And I think it has a role in what we're saying here. And an effect happens and goes in search of a cause.
Beautiful. It's
You
beautiful.
know, it goes in search of a cause. And I think that's what's happening with the past. It's like we're feeling an effect right now, and we want to go looking for a cause of in the past. And when I stop doing that and I just see the effect, even when it's a pain in the body, and I just go, oh, that's a sensation. I don't have to go back to all the past illnesses I've had, what I read on the internet, what somebody said, it's just a sensation. Even emotions can just be sensations now. It's strange how I'm detached from them to some degree, with the exception of love, not detached from that at all. I don't know what I'm saying. That's why I said I didn't have anything for you. All I have is being here, right now, in this space, with these beautiful faces. And life keeps happening, keeps giving me things to look at differently, to see differently, to even experience full bodily and the whole body and the whole, to see it all differently and to feel it differently and to experience the past differently. I'm not even experiencing the past, but to look at it differently. That's all I've got.
Thank you. I'm called to just bring up Atmananda. I remember his thoughts about memory. Memory arises in consciousness. It just arises because it does. Right? And his advice was, if you really want to spend time with a memory, knock yourself out. Go back in the present moment, recognize your awareness in the present moment, and really pick that memory apart in the present moment as consciousness. And that's fine if that's what you want to do. There's nothing wrong with that. But remember that it's consciousness in the present moment that's doing the work, if you want to call it work, that's having the experience, right? So here's another quote. This is from A Course, which tells us that the only reason this world endures is because we keep repeating the past in our thoughts. It says, there is, however, no point in giving an answer in terms of the past, because the past does not matter, and history would not exist if the same errors were not being repeated in the present moment. We keep repeating separation over and over and over and over. Right? We keep having separate thoughts arise and castigating ourselves and treating ourselves unfairly, not being tender and loving with ourselves. Right. So there we are. And we just end it by ending it. It's so simple. Right? You just end it by ending it in the present moment. You just end it by seeing it and then letting it go. Right? And you let it go by forgiving it. And that's it. It's so simple. And you do it over and over and over again. And excuse me, I'm going to have to take this. David, you take it away.
Okay. One of the things that just popped in my head was when Sandra was talking is, if I have a memory, if I have a situation now that goes back to that memory that in the past that I reeled in, it's almost like I need to go back to the original cause, and see what that was. And it's almost like I want to validate my present suffering by going back to the past and beating myself up again. And then as I was waiting my turn, I thought, well, that's a good thing. That's a bad thing, but it can also be a good thing if I go back to the original cause and forgive myself, and love myself, even though I did this thing this mistake that I have been beating myself up for 50 years. But if I forgive it, and then I can let it go. And then when something happens in the present, I don't need to go back and find that thing again, because it's gone. Hopefully it's gone if I do the work correctly. If I just do the work, and then I can make all that work out. So I guess I'm going to stop talking now. So it's somebody else's turn. Thank you.
I was thinking, what if there is no original cause in the world? I mean, it's all new and fresh. If we approach each moment that way, we don't have to go back and undo anything.
I think, but but in my case, I believe that I did. You know, it's almost like save those things. Oh my gosh, I need some more stuff. I'm gonna go back and find them.
Oh, well, the ego, for me, the ego sometimes likes to do that. Some kind of perverse joy in there. I don't know what that is, but I'm getting out of here now. How do I get out? Oh, there.
How do you get out? You can't get out, Sandra. You're here forever.
Hi,
Richard.
everybody. Richard here. I great discussion. What came to my mind was, what is the world? So I've come to believe, for me, that the world represents the original projection from the separate Son of God, who wanted to get rid of all the fear, guilt, and sin in their mind and projected it out of the mind, and that's what the world is. So no wonder we don't find when we're in the wrong mind, we are not happy. And so why are we not happy? Because we're experiencing a world full of sin, guilt, and fear. So, how do we have the happy dream that the Course talked about? Well, at first you have to leave the world as you think it is. You have to rise above the battleground, as the Course says, and repurpose the world by joining with the Holy Spirit, which is the memory of reality. And then from that perspective, you can then look at the world you seem to be experiencing without judgment. And so then you could look at things going on in the world and you laugh at them because you know they're not real. They're real. The only purpose of the world is to put you back in your right mind, to realize what you really are, the separate, the capital S self. So one of the things I learned early on in the study of the Course, but I'm still struggling with it, is because I'm still a work in progress, obviously, was don't confuse the two levels. Level one is reality, non-dualistic reality. We're always one, and there's only one, and that we define as unconditional love, whether we call it God, Atma, whatever. So that's level one. Level two is the world that we think we are a part of. So you can't be in both places at one time. You're either one or the other. So when you're experiencing the world and reacting to the world, don't beat yourself up, is what I learned. Realize it's only a dream, but it has a purpose. Now, when I got in my right mind, what I do is repurpose the world. So the world is unfolding as it will and did. And my perception of the world is what causes me to be happy or sad. And so if I repurpose my view of the world and realize it's only a lesson for me to learn that I'm not the separate self, I am in fact the one self, then I can be happy in the present moment without drudging up the past. But like Sandra said, all of us, I think, at least I agree with her, I tend to want to justify or find a cause of why I'm currently not at peace and not at love. And I look at my past. What did they say? What did they do? Today's a perfect example of that because we're all undergoing an election that many in our community or family or close friends will suffer regardless of the outcome of the election. So we're obviously identified as a separate self because what can the election be or a reaction to it but a lesson for us to learn that is not real. That's not who we are. So love you all. With that, I'll pass.
I think it's really helpful sometimes to allow yourself to play in this game, realizing that you're playing in the game. You know, have fun with it. It's okay. It's all okay. And then that helps you move back and forth from the game back to reality, as Richard just described it. The one love helps us move back and forth from that more fluidly, more dexterously. I mean, in a way, all of this is just an exercise for us to become more and more flexible about how we move in this dream, you know? So enjoy it if it makes you happy. If it doesn't, then recognize in the moment, can the infinite, indivisible, ultimate, absolute self actually be negatively affected by anything that's going on in front of me right now? No. No. And as we keep coming back to that, we wear the path back to center field. That's center field, you know. I am the intimate, absolute, infinite. That is my true identity. Nothing that appears on this stage affects me. And so the more we come back to that and remind ourselves of that, that's why it's called mind training. The more we identify with it, the more that's what we are. That's what we are. As Richard says, and as Cindy says, that very memory, that very recognition, I am infinite, absolute, indivisible, and what I am is so intimate to me that I don't even have to take one step to know it and be it. That very thought raises your vibration. It raises your frequency. And even that is just, those are just words. Frequency, vibration. The absolute has no frequency because it takes matter to have a frequency, right? So we use frequency or vibration loosely as a pointer. Right? But what we are is, that's what we are. And the more we do that, the more we stay at that level. Yeah. Cindy, come to the head of the table. And let me read David, like CCR, I can play center field. Who's CCR? Oh, Chris.
Clearance Clearwater Revival. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was a song from back in the day.
I remember that. Yep. Thank you, David.
Two things I wanted to say. First, since Richard doesn't show up on Thursdays, he hasn't rescheduled his life yet so that he can hang with us every day. Thank you for Tony Parsons having a real positive experience in his space. So I wanted to formally say thank you. The second thing is I'm inspired to just read the quote that we started yesterday's cause and effect conversation with. Especially, I think it was Sandra that was saying, what if there is no cause? I think that came from the God.
Wait, I'm so glad you're doing that. Can we get acquainted to the same page so that we can all look at it together if we want to?
Rana, do you remember what page you said it was on?
Was it 835?
835 in the purple book.
I'm thinking. Hang on.
Yeah, that's it. I wrote it down. Is
Woohoo!
page 8. It's
It was
page
692 in the blue book.
That's right, David.
All right, here we go.
This is why we're doing it together. Are you ready?
Yep.
The question that was raised, what if there is no cause? think that came from Sandra. And I immediately went back to this quote. The separation started with the dream, the father, and I've added God, Brahman, supreme consciousness, whatever you want to call it, was deprived of his effects. And in parentheses, I wrote me or you, and powerless to keep them since he was no longer their creator.
Okay, that's paragraph 8 on page 837.
Right.
And
Yes.
then my notes just goes, but that's insane. Like, how could you deprive God of anything? Therefore, no cause to this effect of separation.
Sorry, Sandra, I just want to say this and then maybe I just want to take us to page 835 and just the beginning of that, because I think that's really powerful.
Go for it.
Without a cause, there can be no effects. And yet, without effects, there is no cause. What that says right there is, as God's being, our God's being God's being, is an attribute of God. And it is part of what makes God, God. Right? That's how absolutely precious each and every one of us as extensions of the absolute are, right? And sentence 2, a cause is made by its effects, right? It's made by its effects. We are so powerful. A cause is made by its effects. The Father is a father by his Son. Right? The absolute is the absolute by its manifestations. Effects do not create their cause, but they establish a causation. Gives fatherhood to his creator and receives the gift that he has given him. Right? Giving and receiving are one in truth. Right? This is it. It is because he is God's son that he must also be a father. Who creates as God creates him. This is not something that the mind can understand, but the words still pull the truth out. They're so clear. The power of our being is right here. The love and the power, it's right here. That is what we are. Wow. And that's, if you read this every day and before you go to sleep at night, that would not be a waste of time. Thank you. Richard, come to the center.
I'm not sure this fits anymore, but based on the quote, but initially I was thinking of a quote from Rupert Spira, and he says, within the dream, there are 3 possibilities in life. One is to be something, to be nothing, or be everything. And the first, there is suffering. And the second, there is peace. And then the third, there is happiness and love. And I think we're all trying to get to the third place, happiness and love. And being everything means you have to take responsibility for everything you experience. And so, at least for me, that's what I understand it to mean. So, when I hear people like Byron Katie or Pat, what was that guy's name we listened to recently? Bob Apartment?
Bob Hardwood.
Right, Harwood. And you mentioned one of my favorites, Tony Parsons. When I see those people, when I hear them talk, I watch the joy, just happiness and joy just radiates from them. And I say, I think that's where we're all trying to be. But what all of them say, the separate self disappeared and went away. Some call that liberation. And when I use the word liberation, I think of what is liberation? Liberation is not being limited in any way, which goes back to what Amy was saying about how all powerful we are. So I just wanted to add that I was motivated to talk with it again.
I love it. I love Rupert Spira. Here's another one for you, Richard. Our essential nature of pure awareness has no name, but it is called by all names. It has no forms, but is the substance of all forms. Our essential nature of pure awareness has no name, but is called by all names. It has no form, but is the substance of all forms. And the entire adventure of the separate self takes place in a little bubble of thought and feeling within awareness, but awareness itself never takes the adventure. Well, Sandra.
Two things. First thing is, Amy, you would just radiate light and joy when you become so enthusiastic.
It's not me.
I know, but it's coming through you. I'll put it that way.
Right.
And the other thing was, I kind of forgot, but I'll try to remember. I don't have to try anymore to be joyful. I am joyful. Don't have to try. And the thought that came through when you were talking about we forget, then we remember, or something like that, about being in the world and being who we really are, is different now. I am who I really am while I'm in the world. The joy is in the world. It's not separate from it.
Yes.
And I don't know how that happened. It happened very, very gradually, I think. But so when you said power, by that line about he also who creates as God created him, that's like, be careful with this power. I mean, not be careful, but remember, because I'm creating all this stuff. I'm creating it.
I want to challenge you on that a little bit.
Okay, go for it.
Because if I am creating in love, the only true power is love.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely. That's not challenging me. I totally agree with that.
So if I think I'm creating,
the thing is, yeah.
right.
Just remember.
I know that, of course, does tell us that thoughts have creative or have potential. They have effects, right? But the only true power is love.
Yes.
And accept that for yourself. That's the gift of atonement, of oneness, of true recognition of what we are and acceptance of it. And it's just fun. It's fun.
Well, when you said play in the world, I thought, yes, play with the joy and the realization of who I really am.
Yeah. And I'm with you, Sandra. I think, and probably all of us, just watching all of us over the past year. I mean, how long have we been together? A year at least. The movement toward love and joy for every one of us is more and more consistent. It's deeper and broader, and I can feel it in myself, and I can feel it, I can see it and feel it in all of you. All of us. It's so beautiful. And it's because of this community that this is happening within me, all of it, because we allow each other to express the love to each other and the doubt to each other, which is truly love. When we allow each other to express the doubt, that's love. It's all love. Richard.
My understanding is the Course says the ego makes things in the world. Only right-mindedness, being in the right mind, creates. So when you say we create, that means you're in the right mind. You're manifesting the love that you are in truth, your eternal self. And when you're making things in the world, you're from the ego point of view. So I just wanted wrong-mindedness,
Yep.
Choose again to be in the right mind. Is that simple?
Thank you. And isn't it so absolutely fantastic that we're free to choose again? Right? No worries. No worries. As soon as you recognize you're free to choose again, you're out of the dream. Yeah. All right. I love us all so much. And we're gonna, so the lesson today is just be mindful. If you find yourself bringing up past thoughts, just recognize it. And you don't even have to forgive yourself for it because you're already out. You're already out of the dream. And if you want to revel in past thoughts, have a field day. Just do it in the present moment, knowing that's what you're doing. And it's okay, right? It doesn't mean anything. But, if that's what you're moved to do, just recognize you're out on the playground, it's getting dark, and dinner's ready for you at home. Right? But you can stay out there and play cops and robbers all you want. Because home never goes away. It's always there. Right? Mhm. All right. See you all later. Enjoy. Mwah. Thank you, Cindy.